Can't believe everything's going on today. Yeah, well, we just sang a song, Nidai Badakamala. And for some reason today, everything has gone wrong. I can't see my screen. And then this is also not expanding properly, so I can't screen through it. I think I have to turn this off and start it again. Let's see what happens. Oh, no. To get out of here.
Okay, disconnected.
No. Last week. Yeah, we're good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me? Yes. Yes, yeah. I will speak a little bit. First of all, I was just Bande Ahang Shri Guru Shijita Palakam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Shaguru Jatam Sahagranatam Vidantam Shajivam Sadaitam Sabadutam Balitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahaganam Valitash Vishakam Krishna Mantra Guru Rajot Shiga Guru Gon Tar Jordane Age Kariya Bandhan Vanchaka Patruya Chakrivashin Nabevasha Poditanam Abaniva Vaishnava Gunamana Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanavale Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudava Chan Nirvishesha Mani Prashta Shatamani. Yes, same thing again. Just turn it off down, same thing again. Yeah, we were discussing having left Jagannath Puri. Having left Jagannath Puri, Mahaprabhu, already such a crowd. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentioned Buhud Bhaktagan. So many devotees were mentioned that had joined the Lord when he left Jagannath Puri. And as he was traveling already, when we got to the border of Orissa, and the representative of the government was sent out to be with the Lord, associate with the Lord. And then they sent the spy from the Javan government, and within a short period of time, that spy, when he came back and gave the report. Now it's interesting because what we'll be discussing this evening is similar to what happened, and that's why I wanted to hear about that as described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, because we hear Mahaprabhu dealing with the governor of the Mughal dynasty and the Mughal territories, which bordered Odia at that time, Odia. And that person, he sent his spy came back when the spy was reporting to the Javan king, then that spy became overwhelmed with prema, love of God. And then the king sent his secretary, and he also held the Lord's feet in prema, felt love of God, his tears rolled down his eyes. These were people who, from Javan backgrounds, they immediately get prema when they see the Lord, and when he touches the Lord's feet. And then the king came. So it was like an example of Mahaprabhu just completely inundating these people with mercy. Just by being there, they got love of God, and they were so fortunate. And he's a governor of that territory. And then we don't hear him discussed again later. And then now today we'll hear that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he attracts the attention of the Nawa Pushain Shah. And similarly, he sends an agent. So there's some similarity. But it would appear that Mahaprabhu, he wasn't so much interested in meeting with Nawa Pushain Shah and similarly bestowing such an inundation of mercy upon him the way he did with the other ones. So anyway, that's just what happened. He just spoke about it and he didn't meet with him. But it's just interesting that that's how his mood and Mahaprabhu's mood in different places. And so we're going to we'll look at this evening now that he's come and reached the border, and now that's Javon king. He accompanied the Lord with 10 boats of soldiers as they were going through the area where it was the lawless and pirates were there. 10 boats of soldiers. So what a support from the government Mahaprabhu was receiving at that time. And now he reaches that governor in a special boat that they built for Mahaprabhu, and he was there traveling with him, accompanying him. Of course, would you just say, yeah, I arranged the boats and all the best? No, he was traveling with him because he knew who he was. He also got love of Godhead and became so much humility, regretted his past sinful activities, and was chanting the holy name, and he was associating with the Lord as much as he could. Naturally, he gave up every other activity of his life at that time and his engagements, and they simply took full association of the Lord. Isn't that wonderful to be able to do that? We don't really, people do that with Prabhupada, but even now we don't really do that. We don't find that we do that so much in ISKCON. I did it when I was a brahmachari, because that was brahmachari life. You just go where the guru ordered. But of course, you'd be there. On many occasions, I accompanied the mantra guru, drove him and accompanied him and took him places and collected him from the airport and in different countries, in Bangladesh. Well, he drove me in Bangladesh, in UK and in Australia, particularly in Australia. Chauffeured him around and had that experience. So you take full advantage of it. So the king, he took full advantage and delivered Mahaprabhu to the banks of Ganga. And first is described about Mahaprabhu in Panihati, that's described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that so many devotees were accompanying him already. Well, let's say when Mahaprabhu crossed the river, then maybe not everybody came because, probably that was that, they didn't cross the border because, they're not going to be able to. But anyway, again, the crowd gathered when Mahaprabhu was in Bengal, or they'd heard that he was coming again to. This is Gaudadesh. This is Mahaprabhu first returning to Bengal after being away from Bengal for 4 years. Mahaprabhu first returning to Bengal, having been away from Bengal for 4 years. And so first he arrives in Panihati. Actually, I should have had that prepared and spoke in more detail on that, but maybe next week, because that's very interesting. We can talk about Panihati, and it's a place we can visit. And we have ISKCON there. It's the center that was being developed by Bhakti Charak Swami Maharaj. So we can visit that place. And center will still be developed. So Mahaprabhu, he arrived there. And Ganga, this is a Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'll briefly mention the Raghav Pandit story. But, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we'll discuss it in more detail next week. But he's arrived there, so many people there, and then he could hardly get to Raghav Bhavan. And we can go to that place. This crowds are so huge. He stayed there for some time in Panihati. So that's a special place. And Ganga Tire. So now, Chaitanya Bhagavat is Antikanda, chapter 4. And Srila Vrindavan Thakur is explaining that. Ganga Tire. Tire, Ganga Tire Prabhu, Loyland Pot. So he's taken a path on the banks of the Ganga. Ganga Tire. He's going alongside the banks. Ganga Tire. Just imagine what the ecological circumstances were at the time of Mahaprabhu's appearance on this planet. That you could imagine that Mahaganga, to begin with, there would be no industrial pollution as there is in her now. In so many places, in Varanasi, in Prayagraj, in these places, the big industry on the banks of the Ganga, and the industrial waste they just pour it in. Speak of all people, waste. So it wouldn't have been like that then. She would have been flowing for rivers, for boats, but they're all sailboats. They're not motorboats. They're all sailboats and rowing boats, so sailboats. So imagine how, Ganga, everyone would have lived on the banks of Ganga. Yavan atu udapane sarvana sampludotake. Tavan saveshu vedeshu brahmanasha vijanasaha. Just as a great ocean of water can or a great reservoir of water can provide all of the requirements of the different wells. So one who knows the purpose of the Vedas, he can, one who knows the conclusion of the Vedas, which is Krishna Bhakti, then he can provide all the purposes of the Vedic contribution to humanity. He can provide that because he knows the conclusion. Krishna Bhakti, Vedas Chashar Sharve Ahama Vedo, Krishna explains. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. So Mahaprabhu is going alongside the Ganga, and at that time, so just like everything would have been provided by Mahaganga. Still now she flows so powerfully. We've just been here in Navadip for Borshakal, that's the monsoon season, Borshakal, 2 months, and then Hemantakal is the beginning of autumn, or Sharat Kal, the beginning of autumn, Sharat Kal, ending Sharat Purnima, Sharat Kal, and now we're in Hemantakal, which is late autumn, and that ends at Rosh Purnima. So that this Kartik month is in Hemantakal, late autumn. And so during the monsoon, Mahaganga, she swells. So in those days, there would have been no dams also. It would have just been naturally, she swells. And then, goes back, and all that fertile land is used for paddy, and then people have their houses, everything, all of civilization, the road, the paths were on the bank of the Ganga because that's where everyone lived. And there would be a path, be like a highway on the bank of the Ganga. And Mahaprabhu was traveling on that barefoot. This is a mati, there was no bricks. That's the environment, barefoot. He's traveling on the Gaur-Mandal Bhumi. That's why we sing Sri Gaur-Mandal Bhumi, Jabajani Chintamuni, Sri Gaur-Mandal Bhumi. The Gaur-Mandal Bhumi, the earth of Gaur-Mandal, Jabajani Chintamuni. Also know it's spiritual. So in other words, you can create the Vrindavan reality in mind. You could create that reality of Mahaprabhu walking on the bank of Ganga with a nice, sandy path. What is sandy? Right, on the bank of Ganga, sandy path. The Ganga Mati is so soft. It would have been like that. No rocks, no bricks, no concrete things, just like that all the way. And people in their cottages, everything just produced anything, they're growing. There's no trucks. They're in the trains, just the boats on the river. I mean, could you imagine the birds? Imagine the wildlife. Imagine there's no pollution, no highways, no petrol drilling, no nothing, no pollution. Just perfect nature and living in harmony in the jungle of Bengal on the banks of Mahaganga. And Mahaprabhu, he chooses. He could appear any circumstance. He could appear here in the concrete jungles we have of Kolkata, of Mumbai. He could have appeared there, but no. Look where he could appear anywhere. Wherever there is decline in religious practice, Adbhutanam adharmasha tadatmanam srijami aham. At that place I appear. So he can appear. He chooses wherever. So he comes into Kali Yuga, but it's not like the Kali Yuga now. I mean, we've seen things degrade so much in my period on this planet. Things have degraded so much. How people's minds now, I mean, you can't everyone's addicted to internet. Everyone's addicted to social media. You know, the whole of the humanity has changed so dramatically. People are just not the same as they were. And everything, all the language, all the way of thinking, interacting, everything's changed so much. And this pandemic kind of enforced it, really, really. You know, it took them some time to set it all up, and this kind of permanently established it into the way humanity functions. Now, we're not going to change. People are. Now, on that point, here am I broadcasting from Mayapur, and I thought you were hearing I was connected with Sang Bhajan, with Sang Nijai Padakama, but I really have to invite my music teacher. He's also a guru, I was thinking today. He's a simple guy, simple music teacher from Bangladesh. And, you know, when I play with him, it's just like, so I can respect, especially the Bengali bhajan and singing the Bengali. And that's really, I think, something that I'll do. So I'll set up with some mics so that and make recordings anyway. And that's good, because this is not, you can't hear it properly. Tabla. But anyway, we'll do something on these days also. So Mahabharata was on the bank of Ganga, and just imagine what it would have been like at that time. Everything like the at least we have Mati Mridanga made now that was made when Mahabharata was on the planet. But you know, the land in Mayapur is getting snatched up so quickly. And I have a little piece there, but enough for one person to do something like that. We'll make a little jungle there and live there in a cottage and discuss Gaur Leela in Navadip Dham, and people can come and listen. So that's possible. That's the vision we have. But to actually make a whole village, you know, whole village. I mean, we'd had that chance. We could have just made the rules and said, "This is how you live here. Take it, like it or leave it." And if you don't, we owned all that land. We owned all that land. We could have done that. Created a whole Mayapur village, an environment where you leave your shoes and then you come in and the people are living in Ganj. We could have done that, but well, what can I say? Maybe we just there's so much power in Mayapur. You know, there's much more powerful people that you know our vision can't manifest here. But other places, you know, that you could perhaps do it. Create a Mayapur. Prabhupada called, what is it? He called it New Mayapur. New Mayapur. So you could create a part of another deep down. You could call it New Antadeep or something, and just make it Mayapur. Mahabharata performed his pastimes here in Antadeep, or New Gormondo Bhumi, and you just do it. It doesn't have to be done here. And of course, doing it here, there's still land in Navadip where you could do it. That would even be better. I mean, you can go out here, Rudradeep is just like completely undeveloped, empty farm in Rudradeep, or it's the other side of Rudradeep, not Rudradeep, Janadeep and these places out there. It's called Ritudeep, maybe Ritudeep. I don't know, but anyway, like completely cheap land. You could buy a huge area of it and create a whole city. I mean, think that. Things are just going to get worse now, the way they treat you in society. Everything's become under surveillance. Everything's in the Aadhaar card. You're vaccinated. You got to show that your health. You got to turn on that Arogya app when you go through. You're under surveillance. It's like completely, you know, to your Aadhaar card. Everything's connected. They're setting up for it's a whole completely different way of existing. So something like that, where you could be off the grid, well, we'd have to have a lot of land. But like I say, there's plenty of land in Navadip. You don't have to go around ISKCON. Go on the other side of Ganga. Why not? Better to be a little bit separate. Just completely set it up there, private. Yeah, I mean, why not? Grihastas. On the bank of Ganga. I mean, on the bank of Ganga. I mean, you could never have. There's one devotee who built a house on the bank of Ganga. He's probably a disciple, but he's out of ISKCON, and but he's an artist. He's lived here for 40 years. So, scholar, but he has a building, has his 3-story round building on the Ganga, on the bank of Ganga. He managed to have a vision. Imagine living there. He had a vision fulfilled. But no one else has built on the Ganga like that. He has done since I've been here 25 years. He's just been there, never any problem. So he had a vision fulfilled. But you could have a whole area of Ganga on the other side, near Ghat. We went there. Many places, even out here around this Mamgachi, this area here, you go from miles and miles of empty land. There's nothing there. On the other side of Navadip, on the other side of Mayapur, you look there on the way to Mamgachi, just empty land. It'll be very cheap. And you could just do it. Mayapur land is so fertile. You grow rice, vegetables, fruits, fruit trees, have a goshala, build buildings. Probably better to get it set up now before things get worse and you can't do it at all. Get it all set up so you're ready to just like everyone just go and take up residence there when the time comes, when things get so bad. But anyway, in my point, certainly if you're interested to do something, I'd certainly like to be involved and help, with vision about how things work, plan it out. Could provide a vision that we could see. So then, when Mahaprabhu came, also all around that area, Vidyanagar, because when Mahaprabhu he came, so that Panihati all the way came up next. He comes here, he reaches Navadip, but he doesn't go to Mayapur because as a sannyasi, he won't return to his home. Although Sachimata came when he first took sannyas, and Sachimata will come again now and see him in Shantipur, because he'll go through Shantipur. So he goes on that, he stays on that, I assume that's the western bank of the Ganga. He stays on Shantipur side, I think so. Yes, the western bank. Shantipur on the western bank, and then Vidyanagar, because the devotees, when he reached Vidyanagar, all the Mayapur Vasis, Antadip, Mayapur, Antadip, and all this area, and they all crossed over the river. That's to the area which is now called Navadip town. It's Koladip. They all crossed over to Koladip. Mahaprabhu went through Koladip, going to Vidyanagar. Vidyanagar is on the other side of Koladip. I don't know the details. I apologize. I'm trying to become conversant in the Dham Tattva. We're working on that, studying that. But Vidyanagar is on that side, and so Mahaprabhu went through there, and there's a whole extensive description of that in the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad. In fact, we could go to that also. We can go and look at that in the next week. Briefly, it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that he stopped at the house of Vidyavachaspati, as the brother of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And then a great crowd gathered. So already there's, so many people gathering. But when he got to Navadip, and people really knew that, that Nimai, Navadip Chandra is going to come back, then a great crowd gathered. And Mahaprabhu remained there for 5 days. And also at that time, these people like Devananda Pandit and the other one, that Gopal Chapal, they came and they were delivered. This was very special. So that place, that old island there, there's plenty of land out there also, I believe. So Mahaprabhu, he went through there. And then again, when he came back in the same way. And he went to, Goshai, Kulia, Hoite, Cholila, Brindaban, Shange, Sahasrek, Lok, Jotavaktagon. This is Chaitanya. Sounds like Chaitanya Bhagavad. Antikanda text number maybe 55. Yeah. As he's coming through this Navadip area, then Goshai Kulia Hoite, Cholila Brindavan, on his way to Brindavan. Kulia, this is a Kuliagram, this is Koladip, Kuliagram. Cholila Brindavan, on his way to Brindavan, he went through there. Shange Sahasrek Lok Jotavaktagon. So many you can't count. Sahasrek, there were thousands of men with him. Sahasrek Jotavaktagon. Tahanitta Kore Prabhu Prema Chetan. Prabhu Prema Chetan. Prabhu Preme Ochetan. In the love of Godhead, he would fall down unconscious. Tahan Nitta. And he's dancing. Tahan Nitta Kore Prabhu Preme Ochetan. He would be dancing, he'd fall down unconscious. Be dancing and fall down unconscious. Is there anyone who does that? No, people dance pretty cool in a kirtan. But no one again and again falls down unconscious. And this is his love of God. This is what it means, Bhakti Rupa. This is what it means to come is to show you. This is love of Godhead. This is real love of Godhead. I'm falling along with again and again. Gopi Baba Rashamri Dad Bila Harir Kolalan Magno de Mahur Bandiru Shanatana Shiji. Go diving again into that ocean. They fall unconscious. Premon Mahara Vashal Shesha Dasha. Krashto Pramato Shada madman. Gayanto Chakada. Harir Gunavaram Baba Vibhutu Buddha. And in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, still their emotions would even become more inflamed. This is uncontrollable. Falling down unconscious in the kirtan. Tahan nitta kore Prabhu premo chetan. Koto koti loka shedekte charan. So, koti koti means millions. Koti koti means hundreds of thousands. Koti koti lok. I shedekte charan came to see his lotus feet as he'd be dancing in the kirtan and fall down unconscious. I mean, wouldn't you come to see that? On the bank of the Ganga, hearing the kirtan. Imagine the kirtan. Multure sound of the mridangas beating all together. Boom, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, falling down in love of Godhead. And the drums, and the devotees dancing, and people, Uludani, on and on and on, not stopping. Falling down unconscious. Just not like once, fell down unconscious. Oh, they call the ambulance. He rested for a while. Drank some water. No, falling down unconscious again and again. Falling down unconscious. I mean, this is where are the doctors and nurses? This is an extraordinary. They would say life-threatening condition. Falling down unconscious. He'll go into coma. Life-threatening circumstances. This is his kirtan, falling down unconscious. Again comes the consciousness. I think enough on that, huh? We kind of got the point. We might get arrested if we keep going on. Mahaprabhu's falling down unconscious in kirtan. Jahan Prabhu Charan Podaye Cholite Shay Mritika loy log gorta hoy pote. Jaha Prabhu Charan Podiye Cholite. Wherever his feet would touch the path. Perhaps this is the Chaitanya Charitamrita actually, Madhya-lila. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila 165. I think this is his verse. What we've been talking about here. Not Chaitanya. Yeah. This is around 165 here. Jaha Prabhu Charan Paiye Cholite She Mritika Loy Log Gortahoy Pote Gortahoy Pote. The road was destroyed because Jahan Prabhu Charan Paiye Cholite, wherever his feet touched. She Mritika Loy Log. They came to take that earth. In this way, the road was destroyed. So this is the way, that's Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya-lila, describing that Mahaprabhu gradually arrived in Ramkeli, as he gradually arrived there. Ache, Choli, Ailo Prabhu, Ramkeli Gram, Gauder Nikot Gram, Oti Onupam. It's on the edge of Gauder Nikot. It's at the edge of Bengal. Before Mahaprabhu, they will be entering into modern day Bihar. So Ramkeli, you can visit Ramkeli. It's 6 hours train ride from Mayapur. I'm not sure if I ever went there, ever took you there. Ramkeli. So anyway, we're going to go there in Qatar this week, or next week. Now we just arrived there. and we'll take questions. So next week we'll be beginning in Antulila, Antakonda, Chaitanya Bhagavat, like text 7, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antakonda, chapter 4, text 7. From there we'll be reading. But this is mainly from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 163 to 167, what we discussed this evening. And we're talking about Navadip and the different places, and we're going over there, and we'll hear a little bit more about that's in the previous chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat. So yeah, we may hear more about that. I may read that because that's if I get time to prepare. Otherwise, later. So, any questions? Hare Krishna.